And she said to me, she was like, you have the most powerful energy. You can change the energy in the room, in the world. And so like to me, I'm getting all built up and I'm like, thank you for seeing me. And this is so wonderful. And then she says, but you need to learn how to dim your light. And so maybe there needs to be a dimmer switch. And I was like, oh, okay. And here I am supporting one of my best friends at her bachelorette, thinking I'm stealing some of her light. And I immediately had an agreement and accepted it as true. And was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I know at this point now, I know that I have powerful energy and I get complimented on my energy. And I love that I can help boost the room and fill it with light and love. But I didn't see that ever as a harmful thing, that maybe I was casting a shadow somewhere. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so I accepted it to be true and kind of filed that away and have been mindful of it ever since. And then my girlfriend Zyle brought it up and she says, I want you to know that that's not okay. She should have not said that to you. She goes, one of your strongest traits is your energy, is your light. Because when you shine your light, I feel better about myself. Welcome to the Be Your Own Life Coach podcast, where you master your mind and coach your own comeback. You are the hero, you are the guide, and you will learn to architect your life from the inside. I'm your host, Britannia Stowe, joined by my sister and co-host, Annika Wilder. Enjoy the show. You know what I've been thinking a lot about? Taking up space. You know what I mean? Being told that maybe you're extra or you're too dramatic. I remember watching America's Next Top Model and Tyra Banks, she would always say, never dim your shine. Never let anyone dull your shine. But I know that I have often played small, and I'm afraid that I might cast a shadow on somebody else. But you guys, you were never meant to shrink yourself. Never meant to shrink yourself to fit the spaces that don't honor you. And I don't know why this is coming up so strong, but I feel like today we need to talk about that it's okay to take up space.
I agree. This is going to be so good. This is something that I've talked about before with people. This is something I've had my own realizations on. And so when you say take up space, are you talking physically? Are you talking like, what do you mean by taking up space?
Yeah, I'm talking about physically. You have to walk around with your arms really wide wherever you go. Just take up physical space. Maybe it is actually, right? I was actually teaching a yoga class yesterday, and in Shavasana, this idea came up. And so I shared a thought, reminding my students to take up space. And one of my students took their hands from directly next to their sides and moved them out. And I saw their shoulders drop. And so sometimes it is physically take up space, but it's also being authentically you. It's not being this like doled down or watered down version of you because you're being like too considerate of others, but you don't want to be so considerate of others at the expense of yourself. So, that's what I mean by like taking up space.
This reminds me a lot of Glennon Doyle's book, Untamed. Do you
Mm.
remember? Did you read that one?
Yes, you told me about this book.
It's so good. She's such a good writer, and it's just this idea that she grew up in all these boxes, the boxes that society put her in, and that's not who she was. And she was grown up, tamed, and then she had to learn, like I want to say, in her 40s to become untamed, to realize who she is, who she wants to be, step out of the box, and like you said, take up space.
Hmm. And I think a lot of us don't even realize we're doing this because maybe we feel confident to take up space in certain circles, or maybe you've just been playing small for so long that you don't even know the difference anymore. And so somewhere along the way, maybe you've learned to be quieter, to be smaller, to not talk too much, not to outshine anyone else. Don't inconvenience anyone. Don't be a burden. But I want us to rewrite that today.
Mm. And the truth is, there is enough space for everyone.
Yes, yes. I'm so glad you said that. And that is something that I want us to get into today is that it's not just like screw everyone else, take up space, even if you're gonna, step on toes. No, no, no. There's enough room for everybody's 10 toes. So,
Hmm.
why do you think we have learned to shrink ourselves?
Hmm. I mean, I kind of like what I said earlier with Glennon Doyle. She grew up, I believe, like Catholic, and teach their own. Everyone, there's a place for religion. There's, own what you believe. I think though that religion and culture in general can put you in boxes and can tell you to be a certain way and to tell you that this is how you're supposed to act. If you're going to be a part of our organization, our culture, our religion, you have to do these things. Otherwise, you're ostracized or shunned for being different. And so there's a lot of social conditioning, which makes people shrink. And then also, like, growing up, this goes for both boys and girls. For boys, it's like be tough, stop crying, get over it, be a man, rub some dirt in it. And for girls, it's like be obedient, be programming, be polite, be proper, stand up straight, cross your legs, and I think that these are manners are different than social conditioning that shrinks people.
Yeah, and with our childhood, I felt like we got both of it. We got, be quiet, be seen, not heard, cross your legs, sit up tall, but also rub dirt in it, even if you're a girl. Stop crying, even if you're a girl. And so in some ways, whether, you had those traditional female or male conditioning, I think a lot of us can relate to both of those. And I think there's another layer to that. I think there is this fear of rejection. We want to fit in. You remember in middle school when you got, the cool shoes because everyone else had them, even if you didn't even like them that much, but you wanted to fit in. And if you didn't have what everyone else had, you were embarrassed. And so we're afraid of that rejection. And we don't want to stand out for the wrong reasons, right? We'd love to stand out for being the fun, cool, popular kid, but you don't want to be stand out in a way that you don't feel like is socially acceptable because you don't want to be seen sometimes. Sometimes you're afraid that your insecurities will shine brighter than you, and so you play small.
Hmm. I know for me, it was also like these early experiences because everything that we are is because of our childhood. And I remember people would say things to me like I would share all the wonderful things about our childhood in Germany. And when we moved to like North Carolina, people would say like that didn't happen. That's not real. You're American, you're not German. And I would get so upset 'cause like, no, I am. But it did create this reaction in me like people don't want to hear about my childhood. People don't want to hear about me and what makes me different. Or another one was all the way up in, this isn't as early, but it still had an impact, was all the way up in college. So like 18, 19 years old. I had people say, you're overly positive. You're too positive. And you just say, I love so much. Like, do you have another word you could use? Like, all you just say is, I love this. I love that. You don't actually love it. And people, like, I had two separate occasions of people saying I was overly positive and saying the word like I love too much. And then I was like, oh, I didn't realize that being positive was bad. And then of course it made me feel like, okay, maybe I'll come up with different vocabulary. Maybe I'll be quiet more. Maybe I'll try not to be so positive. Like it was so confusing to me because I'm a very naturally resilient and positive person.
Oh, my heart hurts for little Annika. Yeah, I have similar experiences in high school where I remember it was literally the week we were moving away from Germany. So we had been there I had been there a total of 10 years, but in this trip it was, 7 years and none of us wanted to leave. And I had a good group of friends that were my best friends. And unbeknownst to me, they all felt some kind of way about me. And they got together in the library and they were passing a note because you couldn't talk. So they're writing down these things about me, like, Britannia thinks she's so amazing. She's actually not that great. She thinks she's going to be an actress or a writer. Like, she'll never be successful at anything. She's not even that pretty, anyways. Why does she flirt with all her boyfriends? And just really hurtful things. And that's hurtful enough that my best friends got together, had that conversation, but to really make sure that they were pulling me down a notch, the few days, hours before we left Germany, they gave me the note.
Mm.
They gave it to me and they said, "We thought you should know. We thought we should take you down a peg or two."
Jeez. Did it? I mean, what was the
Yes.
reaction?
Oh, I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated. I was shocked and I was in disbelief. And then I accepted. This is how malleable our young minds are. I accepted it to be true. We talk about the agreements. So I made an agreement by accepting what they said as true. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're right. I never have meant to flirt with their boyfriends. I'm just this like happy, bubbly, like friendly person to everyone. I never meant to be that way. And maybe I'm not good enough to be a writer or an actress or to shine in any light. So let me keep this in my wallet so that I can read it all the time
Oh
to
my gosh.
remind myself that I do not deserve to shine as bright as I thought I did.
That's horrible. Oh my
Isn't
gosh.
that awful?
You're
Yeah, but
just mean girl.
that's my truth. That's what happened to me. And that's why I'm so passionate about this podcast and I'm so passionate about this topic. It's going to make me emotional. Is I feel like so many of us are dulling our shine and it breaks my heart. It happened to me actually recently. I was at a bachelorette trip. Now this is about 2 years ago now, but this is in my late 30s. And you're there to celebrate the bachelorette and show up for her in every way. And it was my friend Zyle, and she's an amazing human. And she actually reminded me of the story a few weeks ago. She came to visit, and she came to apologize because she felt like what this woman had said on this trip was not okay and was stealing my light and dulling my shine. And what happened was, is we went to a yoga and sound bath experience, and it was a wonderful experience. And we pulled cards, and my card was like the goddess or high priestess or something, and she had like all this high energy. And the lady went around telling everyone what the card meant and how it related to them. And she said to me, she was like, "You have the most powerful energy. You can change the energy in the room, in the world. And so like to me, I'm getting all built up and I'm like, thank you for seeing me. And this is so wonderful." And then she says, "But you need to learn how to dim your light. And so maybe there needs to be a dimmer switch." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And here I am supporting one of my best friends at her bachelorette, thinking I'm stealing some of her light. And I immediately had an agreement and accepted it as true. And was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." Like, I know at this point now, I know that I have powerful energy and I get complimented on my energy. And I love that I can help boost the room and fill it with light and love. But I didn't see that ever as a harmful thing, that maybe I was casting a shadow somewhere. And so I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I accepted it to be true and kind of filed that away and have been mindful of it ever since. And then my girlfriend Zyle brought it up and she says, "I want you to know that that's not okay. She should have not said that to you." She goes, "One of your strongest traits is your energy, is your light. Because when you shine your light, I feel better about myself. So I just feel awful that that woman did that to you." And even though it was 2 years ago, she just felt compelled to bring that up. And maybe that's why this has been on my mind and it's been such a strong, a theme in my life right now.
Hmm. Yeah, and who are they to even say something like that? I mean, they sound insecure, they sound jealous because when I think of someone who is shining and being authentic to who they are, I'm thinking of those people that are dancing in the gym like you, that are on the treadmill and they're just having a good time dancing, or people who are playing like singing. There's this guy crossing the street outside my office and he was just singing at the top of his lungs, just walking on the sidewalk all by himself. He seemed like a normal guy, but he was just singing. And I was like, I love that. And there was even like on a different scale or a different perspective, a woman nursing in public, which there's so much anxiety of nursing in public is are people going to be okay with this? Are people going to give me a hard time? But I need to feed my baby and it's difficult when I cover the baby. Like when I saw a woman nursing in public, I went up to her and I said, "Thanks for doing that. That's making other people feel brave enough and comfortable enough to do that too and feed their baby wherever they need to." And she's like, "Oh, thanks." And when people are being authentic and when they are shining, it gives people the bravery to shine too.
Yes. And I love that example because you're absolutely right when it comes to nursing your kid or singing. So what does it mean to take up space? Well, these are some great examples. It doesn't mean making something all about you. It's not selfishness and it's not disregarding others completely. It means using your voice, speaking up and sharing your ideas, or even setting boundaries, allowing yourself to fully be expressed. If you feel like singing as you're crossing South Street and Broadway, then sing. Why not?
Hmm. It's letting yourself be emotionally and physically seen. So there's a vulnerability piece to this. And I remember being at the pharmacy that we worked at together, AccuPharm Pharmacy, and I held the pharmacists at such high regard. I respected them, and I had a question, but they were really stressed about changing softwares, and I was like, I need to ask them something, but I was worried to go take up their time.
Mm.
And I caught myself like right in the middle of that thought. And I was like, well, wait a minute. My time is valuable too. And I am worthy to take up someone's time. And I marched over there and I said, hey, I have a question. And they're like, no problem. And it went fine. They weren't like, oh, Annika bothered me with a question. Like it was
Yeah.
totally fine. And so we have these thoughts of like, oh no, I can't be seen. I can't physically take up someone's time or energy or space. But that's not true. That is not true at all.
Yeah, you're not taking away. In fact, I know those pharmacists are very grateful for your inquisitiveness and for your ability to go ask a question because I'm sure the question was about something pertinent at the time that may affect the software change. And so we for some reason dim ourselves. It's not always this, someone telling you to stop being so bright. Sometimes we kind of silence ourselves. So, I want to talk about a little bit about the cost of playing it small. And we talked about last week that the cost, or maybe it was last week or, a week or two ago, the cost of staying the same and what your life looks like or doesn't look like when you choose not to make changes. And it's the same. If you choose, despite what people have said to you, despite your upbringing, despite maybe some societal or cultural or religious pushes, if you choose to play small and not do a podcast or not apply to grad school or not speak up in a meeting or not start a business, then you are dimming your light, sure, but you are dimming your gifts. And your gifts are not just for you. They've been strategically given to you at this time and at this place for you to share them. So think about all the people who are waiting to hear your voice, to have the service that you might offer, or the wisdom or expertise that you might have that you are holding back because you are keeping yourself from shining bright.
And I believe that God gave us these gifts to share with the world, kind of like what you're saying. And if we are too scared to stand out, to do the thing, to whatever it is that God gave us a gift of, then we are limiting ourselves. But we are withholding the beautiful gifts that can be shared with the world, that can make the world an actual better place.
Yeah, and that's why I think we're given those gifts is to share them. And I feel like you can create this resentment if you decide to dim yourself. Resentment of others who are not dimming themselves, that aren't afraid to shine. You can start to be judgmental, start to hate, start to want to pull them down and instead of lifting them up. And you could also become resentment of yourself because you know you have more to give. You know you have more to offer, and you're refusing to use your gifts for whatever reason.
Hmm. And if you are dimming your light, you can actually disconnect from yourself and you're denying a big part of who you are. And if you continue to deny parts of you, you start to leave those parts behind and they can be lost. And then I think you might feel more lost altogether.
Oh, that makes me sad. Just that thought of losing parts of you. Can you imagine having like, your organs taken out? Slowly, someone takes out your liver and your, appendix and your gallbladder. And for a while, you can live without some of these things, right? Appendicitis, people get their gallbladders taken out. But then slowly, your small intestine and your large intestine and your heart and your left lung. Like, that's how it feels to me when I think of people not stepping into all their power. They're literally taking parts of them and they're taking them out. And you may never get them back, especially after a long time. And this is why the time is now. You don't want to delay your life. And the blessings that could echo not just into your life, but to everyone else's.
I think it was Robin Williams, I want to say, rest in peace, that said, "You are only given one spark of madness. You mustn't lose it."
Mm, I like that. And the world does not benefit from your silence. And neither do you. You don't protect anyone by being smaller. You just deprive them of experiencing you and life.
Yeah, and like I said, there's really enough space for everyone. It's kind of like the scarcity versus abundance mindset. I had the same thing that I had to go through when I was becoming a real estate agent because I live in a small town and there's like 2,000 realtors already. And I thought, how in the world am I going to make it as a realtor when there's so many people here? And there's agents have been doing this for 20, 30 years, and I'm this new agent with no sales experience. But that is a scarcity mindset. That would have kept me stuck. That would have held me back if I stayed there, if I had dimmed my light. But instead, I thought it was actually my mentor who said there is enough to go around. And
Mhm.
he was talking about houses and commissions and business. But that's the same mindset, is that there is enough to go around with in regards to you taking up space in general.
Yeah, I think, there's some questions that we can ask ourselves. And I'm curious if any of these resonate with anyone. Do you have, this could be a scarcity mindset if any of these do ring true. If you think if she shines, if she's the leading lady, then I can't shine. If I take up space, someone else loses, then I'm taking from someone else. Or no one cares what I'm doing, so I'll just keep doing it quietly over here. I'm not special anyways, so it doesn't matter. Or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not funny enough. If any of these ring true, first of all, you're not alone. I've had all of these thoughts, but this may be a sign that you are dimming your shine.
Hmm. And so the truth really is that someone else's light does not dim yours. So if I tell Britannia, "You're so beautiful," that doesn't mean the girl next door is not beautiful. Or if I tell Britannia, or if I tell our other sister, Johanna, like, "You're such a good mom," that doesn't mean Britannia's not a good mom. It's expansion creates more expansion. Your people will celebrate your sparkle, not try to take it from you.
Yeah, it's so true. So let's do, me, Annika, I love a good visualization exercise. So I have a little one here. If you're at a place that you can close your eyes, this is, 2 minutes, then I encourage you to do it. If not, if you're driving or something, then just, quietly listen. But I want to imagine for a moment that you are in a room full of unlit candles and you have one match. You strike it. You light one candle, the closest one to you. Now take your candle and you go up to the next and use it to light the other. You do that again, again, and again. What do you get? You get a room that is brighter, warmer, and lighter. And before you know it, all the candles are lit. Using your light does not blow the other one out. Now, as you come out of that visualization, I hope that you can really see that just one spark, one light can brighten the whole space.
That was so good. I could visualize it so perfectly. And what came to me is that my light, it doesn't have to light the entire room. Like, I don't have to put all this pressure on me, like, oh my gosh, I have these God-given gifts and this light that I have to influence the masses, but you can influence the one right
Mhm.
next to you. Your light can ignite someone else's candle, and then that will empower them to light the next candle and so forth.
Yeah, you're so right. You're so right. Yeah, it doesn't have to be all on you. And it just spreads. We don't run out of fire, right? So thank you. Thank you. So what happens when you take up space? Well, you give others permission to do the same. You attract aligned people and you build confidence through action, and you can start to step into your purpose. You also help
Yeah, and you can
people.
help.
Yeah. Oh, Annika, you're on the same wavelength. Please do tell.
I think there's a little bit of a delay. I'm so sorry. But you could also just help the people that you were sent here to help.
Yeah, please, no, go on. What else happens when you choose to take up space?
Well, you won't always be received with love and support, right?
Mm,
And not everyone will like it. And the right people will recognize it. The right people will be grateful for it, but not everyone will receive it. And something that came to my mind too is if we are giving you permission to take up space, which you should absolutely do, there's like a little caveat here that to doesn't mean to throw out the etiquette or manners out the window. So, for
mm.
example, like there's this cultural belief that if you're going to a wedding, you don't wear white. And
Wait,
someone could wear
what? Annika, I haven't heard of this one.
And someone could go to a wedding and wear white because they're like, well, I want to wear white and you can't dim my light. This is just who I am. Okay, come on. Like, let's be realistic. Yes, shine, but let's be respectful to the situation. Like, if you're going into a mosque or a cathedral, you're not going to be showing up in a bikini with a boombox singing at the top of your lungs. Like, there's a time and a place to shine as well. And I don't want that. I don't want people to take me as like, oh, well, you're just dimming your light. I think it's dim your light when you're called to do it in the right place in the right, or sorry, don't dim your light when you let your light shine when you're called to do it in the right place in the right time.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think that's an important thing to mention. And so, how can we start taking some small actionable steps to take up space? One of them could be in meetings, speak up more than you normally would in conversations and in relationships, or stop over explaining or apologizing. Replace sorry with thank you.
Or take up physical space too, like posture, eye contact, your presence, or set one boundary this week, even just a small one. You have a whole podcast on boundaries that you could listen to and how you can take up space with boundaries. It's just basically standing up for you, speaking up, being proud enough in yourself, feeling enough, feeling worthy to speak your piece.
Yeah, express yourself. Maybe that is wearing something fun. One of my favorite things, I have these like spiky shoulder pad things that you just pin on to a regular t-shirt. I never see anyone wear anything like this, and I don't care. And I love it. And I will put it on. Or I have this like Michael Jackson belt, gold crossbody thing, and I'll just put it on. Sometimes letting your light shine is the way you express yourself. And if you express yourself with your clothing or your style, then shine on. Also,
Mhm.
check your language. Remove words like just, I'm just this, right? You play yourself small, or I don't know, but, or, how many times that I've been ready to go on a hike and I'll tell people, like, listen, I don't know, like, if I'm going to be feeling too good, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this whole thing, knowing I'm probably the most athletic person there. And I will, for some reason, play it down that I'm not capable of crushing hiking up this mountain. I don't know why we do that. So, these are just some ways that you can continue to shine bright. Annika, are there any others that come to mind?
I think that sharing something before you're ready too,
Mm,
because because if you are procrastinating, you're probably shrinking yourself too, because you're like, I'll do this when. I'll like I used to be afraid to drop the kids off at school before I got ready. Maybe this is a little bit different, but I'm like, you know what? I don't care what I look like right now. I'm gonna go in my leggings and my messy hair because that's what's best for me right now.
mhm.
And no, I'm not all put together and I'm not shining in that way, but the idea of just being authentic and sitting with this idea that I'm okay with me and the way I am in this moment.
Yes. And there has to be a little bit of an identity shift, right? You're not becoming someone new when you decide to see the world as a stage and you step into your light and step into your power. You are actually returning back to who you are before you learn to shrink yourself, before you were tamed, right?
Mm.
When you were wild once, you were free. And we are just encouraging you to find that part of you again, but it can take time. It's something that you have to maybe slowly give yourself permission for because it's something that you have to remember.
hmm And I think that it's easy to compare yourself to the outgoing person who's shining and be like, oh, well, she's wearing funky earrings and fun clothes. And in order for me to shine, I need to be that way. And that's not it at all. For you to shine is the light that you have inside you, the way that you were born to share it, the way that you were born to dress, the way you were born to shine is different than the extrovert who likes to be on stage and wear funky clothes and spiky things on her shirts. Like that's very like shining doesn't mean being extroverted. Shining doesn't mean being on stages. Shining doesn't mean being loud. It means like, and you might be trying to fit that mold. You might be like, well, in order to be liked, I need to be super fun. I need to be loud. I need to be charismatic. And that's not true. You can shine in your quiet manner, in your introvertedness too.
I am so glad, Annika, that you said this. I had a conversation with one of my clients about this because often they hire me to speak on stage so that I can present their product or their service to their customers. And I said, "Well, you can do it. Like I can even help you with the outline or the presentation." And they're like, "No, no, no. I shine best behind the scenes." And that was even the language that they used. Like, I do really good be in a supporting role where I can back you up. I can expand on things. If you do need to call me up, you can. But I actually like to be behind the scenes. That's where I feel my most authentic self. She goes, I love to support those who are on stage. Like
That's so cool.
how cool is that? And if my, client Kelly, if she was like, "Oh no, to shine, I have to be on stage too." Well, then who's going to make sure that the mic is working? Who's going to make sure that the presentation is up or that everyone's in the audience, all their questions are getting answered, right? So how that shows up is so different, which brings me to our Coach Yourself segment. So ask yourself, is there anywhere in your life that you're holding back from or you're being inauthentic and maybe showing up the way that you think you're supposed to? Asking yourself, where am I currently shrinking? And what am I afraid of that will happen if I do fully show up? Maybe there was a time that you were told you were too much. Revisit that memory and tell that version of yourself that, first of all, you are not too much, that you are just enough. Tell the younger version of yourself that you are meant to glow, that you are meant to be seen. But now have a deeper understanding of where maybe why you have allowed yourself to shrink a little, to play small. Then ask yourself, what if I could expand? And even if that is just 10%, taking baby steps, giving yourself permission to unlearn what you've been told you have to do or how you're supposed to show up. Annika, is there anything else we can do during our Coach Yourself segment to help our audience move through this?
I think it's to sit calmly with the idea of who you are, like be comfortable with who you are. And if you're the type of person that likes to be in the corner and read a book for hours at a party, then do it. You don't have to force yourself to go and talk to everybody else. But if you're the type of person that has something to say and you're holding back, or you're the type of person that has these gifts that need to be shared with the world and you're holding back, stop doing that. Stop holding back because it's hurting you and it's quite frankly hurting the world. And there are different ways to shine. There are people who will shine like a single white candle with a flame. There are people who shine like a flashlight. There are people who shine like a fluorescent light in an office. There are people who shine like fireworks. Everybody has different types of light that will shine differently. And what is your light? You do have a light inside you. You do, whether you are a firework or a little flame or a little firefly, you have a light inside you. And what is it about you that needs to be shared with the world? Or maybe just let yourself be authentic in that light.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I have had the fear that my light would cast a shadow. Thinking back to that candle visualization, your light, your unique light, maybe you are a firefly or a firework. I love that. Help yourself find it, and you can help others find their light by shining as bright as you can. You are not here to fit in someone else's lines. You are not here to fit in a box or to be labeled as anything other than you are. And if you struggle to shine for yourself, then consider this. Shine for those who need your light to find their path. Shine bright, because I promise you, we need to see you. I need to see you. And there is always space for you.
Shine bright like a diamond.
Shine bright like a diamond. This has been another episode of the Be Your Own Life Coach podcast. If you found value in today's conversation, subscribe and share the love. And remember the teachings of Lao Tzu. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Until next time, trust yourself. Take the wisdom, take the breath, and take the next step.